Sometimes you're not having the best of days, but you just can't wait to play an Age of Empires 2 game. And then you get home expecting the map to be fair, expecting the map to be somewhat balanced, and the winner will be determined by the best player on that day. Well, friends, that's not always how the cookie crumbles. Welcome here. We've got a 1v1 game. It's Empire Wars. You usually start with quite a few villagers, if you're not too familiar with Empire Wars. And you'll notice that Uzi doesn't have any villagers around chopping trees because they're over here. You know, the first time I glanced at this, I thought, oh, wow, Uzi doesn't have, like 12 villagers. But no, Uzi has the villagers. It's just they are a long way away from the starting base here. So clearly a bug, but man, I love this type of thing. And Uzi's got his wood economy off to the side, and Uzi's up against Hallis. Now, Hallis has a base which is more standard for this type of thing. You can see the 3 lumber camps. Basically, Empire Wars, you start in feudal age, start with a lot of economy. It's a little bit more aggressive. And here comes Hallis now looking for his opponent. I thought this was so funny, man. It's so freaking funny. Hallis is looking around, and Hallis is like, okay, I found his gold. I found his berries. And I would assume from what Hallis sees right now that Hallis is assuming that Uzi has trees over here. That's what I'd be thinking, right? Because you know there should be villagers on wood, but the map is bugged. So, yeah. Now, it's actually a new map. The devs just added this. It's called Sanddrift, and I think it looks pretty cool. You've got some, obviously, some sand through the middle, lots of hunt. Pretty open map, I would say. And normally you can wall to the wood lines, like Hallis has done here. But, yeah, some real problems, obviously, for Uzi trying to accomplish that because Uzi doesn't have wood lines to wall to. So, really awkward situation for him. Uzi is the Incas here. Seeing as it's an Empire Wars start, we are going to adapt our casting a little bit and just dive right into the action. And he's moving forward with some archers and spears, which Hallis sees. And our Hallis playing as the Slavs. Both these civs should be really good in Empire Wars settings, in my opinion. And he has moved forward. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't been producing out of his barracks like the Inca player could. That's the nice thing about having a civ like Incas. And starting in the feudal age, you can't produce eagles in Dark Age, obviously. You start in the feudal age, you could just produce. So it's just been a numbers game so far for Uzi. And the good news for him is his opponent hasn't spotted his wood line yet. And he's taken pretty good engagements with eagles on the front and then archers behind. But Hallis able to hold somewhat. Going to bring his scout back here. There's a new change. They added the new ladder. Empire Wars should be seen a lot more. I'll definitely bring good Empire Wars games to the channel now. Red Bull Renato? I gotta work on the pronunciation anyways. New Red Bull event is coming, which uses Empire Wars settings, and there's a Red Bull ladder now. I'm gonna make a separate video on that, by the way. If you want to check that out, just keep an eye on my extras channel. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that stuff. In fact, if it's already up, we'll have a little edit here, but Uzi clears up the army. Pretty even game so far. And you could tell Hallis is thinking, let's move on towards the next stage. Now, kind of annoying thing about this map, an interesting thing to note, is you cannot build on the sand with the dead bodies here, right? So the slightly off-colored sand you cannot build on, meaning you can't farm, right? That's kind of the biggest deal. And so farming eco back here for Hallis, and then you got farming eco here for him as well. Being the Slavs, he does farm very quickly, but just because they couldn't farm around the TC, both players needed to buy quite a bit of food here. But I want to go to Hallis's point of view. Hallis has not seen that his opponent has this forward base here. So, you know, initially you think, wow, this really hurts Uzi because he can't defend it. But if the opponent doesn't know about it, if the opponent simply just assumes that, you know, the base is laid out like it is any standard game, then, I don't know, maybe it helps Uzi. I mean, still, Villager's very exposed here. But just an archer war right now. Whole lot of military, which is to be expected with Empire Wars. I like Hallis's economic position with the amount of farms that he has. The concern for him would be you want more farms than that, right? Ideally, with all this wood, you're going to be placing more and more farms here. This map is still really new, but I would expect a lot of archers on this map just because you can't easily expand your food eco, meaning that civilizations who could, you know, normally rely on the farms, like the Slavs or the Franks, make a lot of stable units with that food. They're going to struggle just a little bit more. So, again, current food eco layout is decent for Hallis. He's getting extremely close to this. But he had no real reason to go over there and check it out. So he still has no clue that those trees are there. And he's just going to fall back to his base. Double range for him. Obviously, he'll be upgrading his archers here shortly. And he has the food. Like, resources collected, really good for Hallis right now. And Uzi's going to be upgrading archers as well. So it's pretty all-in situation, pretty aggressive. Especially because Uzi saw that Hallis has this gold here. University here for Hallis. So he's thinking it's an archer war, right? So if it's an archer war, I should just get ballistics. I'm not going to miss as many shots. But look at this here from Uzi. Uzi's actually able to use the villagers that are close by to build a little forward base here. Normally, you'd have to send a villager across the map. So I like this from Uzi. He's utilizing the fact that this map has put him in this position. We'll be happy to see he's pushed his opponent off of gold. Was expecting some level of defense here, and these two are both amazing players. Both are really good. Both top 100 talents. Hallis, you don't see as much. He's actually a dev for the game, for Forgotten Empires, so he can't play in like Microsoft-sponsored tournaments, which is the majority of them. He's insanely talented. He's been playing the ladder a little bit more recently. But ballistics is going to be on the way. And no ballistics being researched by Uzi here, so... In theory, in the Archer War, the Ballistics player could come out on top. Plus, it's going to be Siege for Hallis. Nice shot from him. Still has the farming eco. Like, Hallis is in a really nice position right now. Scorpions and crossbows. Cheap Siege for the Slavs certainly helps. And population's close. And now we are going to have just a random monk from Uzi here on this side, which is kind of funny that he just walks over here with the monk. I think he was expecting maybe knights, which is why he added the monastery in the first place. But now you can tell that ballistics is in for Hallis because he's hitting some of these shots as units are moving away from Uzi. So Uzi's got to back away. And kind of dicey times for Uzi. Now what you can do, you know you're going to get hit as you retreat. So you want to just fire as you run. He could maybe work with just numbers here as he brings more numbers in. Siege Workshop for him is going up on the front. Hallis has no clue, right? Hallis is expecting that the base layout is the same for Uzi back at home, and that maybe Uzi's going to go for ballistics. And that Scorpion was just a nice little piece of Hallis' army there. Hallis gets some nice pickoffs too. Now, Uzi did kill the Scorpion, but the Scorpion was cheap because it's Slavs. Pretty nice position for Hallis. Like, again, faster Slav farms, I think, have paid off. He's expanding his eco perfectly here. And what we're not looking at is Uzi's economy. He's done a really nice job as well. But these villagers are like, where can I go? Like, looking for anything. There's no trees to be found here. What a horrible spot to be at as you have to micro an army. Look at him go. He's like, where is it? He's brought a monk over here looking for trees. He's like, all I get is a dirty mountain? That's it? And changes his mind and says, okay, I guess I'll just go to stone because there's nothing over here. That's kind of funny. But he found a resource at least. Still has to micro his heart out over here. Again, no ballistics for him. But look at this micro from Uzi. So well played. And actually uses the eagle as a bit of a meat shield. Gets in close, which means ballistics doesn't necessarily matter as much. And despite being lower on upgrades, takes some good fights. I think Uzi being closer to his own military buildings there and also mixing in the eagles just was able to change things there. So now you're Hallis, and now you're like, huh? Like, nothing about this, the way this game is played out, has felt like there was going to be a siege push here. Because Uzi was in Castle Age faster, and the siege never came out, right? It took a long time. Hallis did drop Town Center number 2. So economically, he's going to be in a good spot. And he sees 2 mangonels. So he's thinking, okay, I've got my food eco now. A couple knights here could be helpful. But of course, there's also monks around. So if you send in a couple knights right now, it's of course fine. But if there's more monks, they can convert your knights. And that's what's important about a siege push, is you always have the monks nearby so knights can't pick off your siege. Siege micro matters so much, and having that hill is so important here. Nice job here from both players, though. Hallis using his skill, using his micro there to actually kill the weak mangonel. And usually you want a villager to come in here and repair if you're in Uzi's position. But he's destroying that town center pretty quickly. Hallis still spending a lot of his food on villagers here. That's what you're going to see be the standard. Look at this micro. Look at the stone miners. Inca villagers or Inca stone buildings are discounted. And what I was going to say is you need to have some villagers nearby to be able to drop a forward castle. And conveniently, there's villagers right there. Crossbow gets converted. That's kind of funny. Alice has an eco lead. Making siege, making crossbows. I think his position is superior. With a couple knights here in the mix, could really change the game for him. But that's easier said than done, of course. He's still managing all of this using the new farm feature and just instantly placing a bunch of farms. I'm making a video on that. Probably will have already seen it. I really think that's bad for the game. But we're not going to talk about that now. Just go watch the video. And Hallis is like, okay, when I think about this, he's not really doing a lot of damage to me right now. He's not pushing me. Maybe I can head to his base, or maybe I will fight on even ground. So here he comes. Thinking about fighting on even ground. And he needs some good micro here. He loses one of his mangonels. Here he still has to dance. He still has to micro. He loses the next mangonel. It's looking pretty bad for these crossbows. So Hallis has to dodge all these mangonels right now. He kills the monk. He gets rocked in the face. There's more mangonels here. And now there's a castle going up. And he's like, what? Where did all these villagers come from? And, well, he feels like, you know, that was just too heavy a loss for him. That he was going to lose this position if that castle goes up. He's not going to have any easy way to fight back. And I do think it would have been really complicated for him from here. Maybe he denies the castle. But I think unlikely. Even if Uzi had really bad micro, he maybe loses 3, but still probably kills this 1. Castle still probably goes up because there's a bunch of vills around. And, yeah, then you've got a castle on your face. So, what a funny game, man. Like, Uzi continued to play, continued to fight on, made the most of his position. Look at this wasteland of a starting base. Not the longest cast ever because of Empire Wars and being a pretty quick game. But I just found it so interesting that it actually helped Uzi. Right? You would think this would be a bad thing, but no, he still had the vills. They were still on wood. Uzi couldn't harass that. Hallis couldn't harass the wood line because he didn't know it was there. Now, what I think would have changed this game a little bit here for Hallis, we talked about probably some knights. He did such a good job producing villagers consistently this game. I think maybe it's a situation where he just needed to stop for a second. Getting a few knights on the field would have been nice. There was never more than just one monk on the field. Maybe there was. Maybe there was 2. But this game's easier said than done, as I'm sure you guys get it. Let me know what you thought about this one. I love it when there's bugged maps. Now, I don't want it to happen to me. I don't want it to happen all the time. But on occasion, this is really good. Listen, I don't know. Do you guys maybe watch one video a day, then go to bed or you go to work or something? Maybe you do. And maybe this video wasn't quite as long as you're hoping for. So if you like situations like this where the map is bugged, I had a game I played 3 years ago where there was like no wood for me on the map. It was called the No Wood game. We'll have that recommended and up on screen here, and it'll be in the description too. Check that one out if you want more no wood games. All right. Anyways, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And here's a couple look at the stats. Should have done this before, but I suck. But I'm also too lazy to re-record this. And there you go. Yeah, that's it. There's the stats for the stat people. See you next time. Goodbye.